just be a part-time job, Mom. Doing things I know how to do. I used to do paperwork for Gil all the time.
Oh, I don't know, Peter. Going back to Prescott Development?
I know you're worried whether or not I can handle school and a job at the same time.
Well, that's part of it,
I promise you, I can. We're 3/4 of the way through the semester. I have a good grasp on all my subjects. I'm not going to fall behind.
It's not your schoolwork I'm worried about.
What is it?
It's Gil. I don't like the influence he had on you before.
What are you talking about?
Peter, his lifestyle.
Oh, Mom. What he does outside of that office has nothing to do with our working relationship.
How can you say that? It certainly did before, and I know it will again.
Hey, do your feelings for Gil have something to do with your feelings for Jason?
Peter, that has nothing to do with it, and you know it.
I'm sorry. Okay, cheap shot.
What are all the fireworks about?
We're just discussing whether or not I should go back to work for Gil Prescott.
No, absolutely not. Gil Prescott is a self-centered, immature opportunist. He is nothing but trouble, and the less contact you have with him, the better off you're going to be.
Aren't you being a little tough on the guy?
No, I don't think I am. You stick around and I'll fill you in on a few more things.
Let's not go overboard here.
Don't tell me you're in favor of this.
No, I'm not. I agree with you.
Now hold it, before you guys go ganging up on me. Gil just asked me for a little help.
Oh, why? So he could have a little more time to calculate his scorecard?
Just because a guy was one way in the past doesn't mean he couldn't have changed.
Well, I'd be a little more careful who I defend if I were you.
I'm not defending him. I know he's a jerk, but maybe there's a possibility.
Oh, I find that a little far-fetched.
Well, it's not. I got an example.
Oh, I thought you weren't defending him.
I'm not.
Well, then what's this stunning example that's going to change my mind?
Okay, there was this girl.
I don't like the way this starts either.
Oh, come on. Okay, he had a date with her, right? But he had to work late, so he couldn't make it.
Right, I think I know the punchline to this one.
He tried to explain to her. She wouldn't believe him.
Sounds like a smart girl to me.
Mom. Okay, so the thing was, he was working, and he is sorry. That's why he asked me to talk to her.
Oh, Peter, wait, you didn't say yes.
That's not the point. Well,
Peter!
No, look, the point is that he tried to get things straight with her. Now, the old Gil wouldn't even have bothered.
Peter, I can't believe this. He's obviously using you.
Now Gil's even too lazy to pick up his own dates.
Forget it! You guys, I knew better than to try to explain to you,
All right.
because you already have your minds made up.
Peter, now Peter, listen, I agree. Generally, I tend to think of Gil as a jerk. But let me tell you something. The more I think about it, the more I realize he's much worse than that.
Right. Have a nice day, Ben.
Peter, don't go away mad.
I'm not mad. Wish you guys would have a more objective viewpoint of my job opportunities.
Okay, I will. Let's talk about this some more later, okay?
Right.
Oh, well, that is a difficult task.
What?
Being objective about Gil.
Amen.
Liz get off all right this morning?
Yeah. Gee, it was sure nice to have her here.
You miss her already, don't you?
Mm-hmm. She's a good friend and a really good listener. Yeah, I miss her.
What's the story on the rest of your day?
Do you mean, am I going to charge into the hospital and storm Lester's office?
Oh, or a reasonable facsimile.
No. Regardless of whether I'm rehired or not, I'm resigned to the fact that it's out of my hands. I am just going to sit tight and pray that the phone rings.
I I'm sorry, Alex, but that memo states very clearly that Terry Davidson was fired for a very serious offense. Now, I do not take kindly to insubordination from any department.
Lester, is that a threat?
That is a fact. I am fed up with this employee paranoia.
Then why don't you put an end to it once and for all? Get rid of the source.
And who might that be?
It's Russ Weaver. He has no right to act
As
the way
my assistant, he has every right. I'm getting sick and tired of telling you people that.
Oh, not half as sick and tired as we are of listening to it.
Also, when I left here, I made it clear to everyone that he was to be in charge of all hospital matters. Or are you in the habit of not reading my memos?
Lester, it's pretty hard to ignore something as preposterous as that.
Preposterous or not, it is written policy, and I intend to stick by it.
So, so you're just absolving Russ of all blame in this case, is that it? Won't you even consider the possibility that Russ may have deliberately provoked the alleged insubordination on the part of Terry Davidson?
Come on, Alex, that's a very serious charge.
And his on her isn't? Oh, come on, Lester. He's appointed himself the lawyer, the judge, the jury in this case. Now, is that reasonable? Have you heard about his confrontation with Dr. Thompson?
No.
Well, he gave him a severe reprimand over some so-called sloppily prepared patient reports.
Well, was Russ's assessment correct?
Well, absolutely not. Admittedly, Thompson's skills don't lie in the area of clerical duties, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with those reports in question.
I suppose that's why he wants to see me.
No. No, he wants to see you to discuss his resignation.
Oh.
Oh, is right. And his is not going to be the last to cross your desk, because I can personally name 6 others that are going to follow his lead. Not to mention the fact that the nurses are going to strike this facility unless the harassment from this office ceases.
A strike?
Lester, this is not an idle threat. They're openly preparing for it right now.
I learned a long time ago not to pay any attention to hospital rumors.
Well, then why are you here? Why did you cut your vacation short if you're just going to come right back here and ignore all this?
I think that will be all for now, Alex. I have every intention of going into all of the material regarding Terry's dismissal.
Well, for the sake of this hospital, I sincerely hope so.
Good morning.
Is it? Well, just watch out for the afternoon.
Come in, Russ. You're just the man I wanted to see.
Well, thank you, Babs.
That's quite all right. Just don't forget to leave a tip.
Oh,
Don't buy a used car from a man named Frenchie.
what?
Just gave her a tip.
It's okay, Gene. I don't expect nothing from you anyway.
Join the crowd.
So what is this, get on Gene morning?
Well, the mosquito that makes the most noise gets swatted first.
Seems like in this house all you have to do is move and you get swatted.
Or anything that doesn't move. Gene, when are you going to follow up on that newspaper job?
Wouldn't it be nice to have a conversation where we don't have to mention that?
Well, if you do something about it, I want to keep bringing it up.
Mom, I applied for the job. I have to wait to see if I get it now. That's all I can do.
Well, it'd be nice to show some initiative and a little persistence.
Initiative? Mom, according to you, anything short of camping out in the dude's office is being lazy.
Oh, Gene.
Crying out loud, I've got the situation under hand here. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
You're just afraid that I'm right.
Oh, boy. Speaking of jobs, he said, trying to change the subject. Babs, aren't you supposed to be at work?
Huh?
Why aren't you at the office by now?
Oh, well, Harold had an early court date, and he's going to stop by and pick me up on the way back.
Well, can't you go to the office by yourself?
Well, you know how it is.
No, I don't. What do you mean?
Gene, aren't you being a little nosy?
That's a family trait, Mom. Babs, if you don't want to answer, just say so.
That's okay. I don't mind. Just more of the same old stuff. Harold wants me to be a little more careful as far as Ronnie and Lance are concerned, that's all.
Oh, yeah, right. Right. Hey, I've got another question for you, lady.
Gene, why don't you leave the poor girl alone?
It's okay. It's okay. I don't mind.
You and Harold seem to be going through an awful lot of trouble to steer clear of these guys. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, if they are as dangerous as you say they are, seems to me they wouldn't take too kindly of anyone trying to help you out. and they just might harm anyone that tries to get in their way.
I suppose.
Like my mom, for example.
Gene.
Mom, now it's a real possibility.
Gene, it's not a possibility, and I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Look, Ione, he's right. I mean, the last thing I want is for you to get involved in all this.
Bab, the fact that you're living here makes her involved.
I'm not, and listen, that's enough from you two.
Well, maybe I should just leave then.
Babs.
Maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Gene.
Look, Ione, he's right and you know it.
Listen, I'm going to say this once, and I don't want to have to say it again. Babs stays right here with me. Period.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I talked to Mrs. Castelli in personnel, she told me that Mrs. Davidson had told her that those nurses weren't fired anymore, so I simply acted the way that I felt that you would.
And Terry Davidson never denied her actions?
No, she didn't. In fact, she practically dared me to do anything about it. That's about the time that she started going in on you.
She what?
Yes, and I was very surprised to hear how strongly she felt.
Such as?
Such as how little regard she has for your abilities, how much better she could do your job, that sort of thing.
Yes, Sylvia, get me Mrs. Davidson on the phone right away. Thank you.
Her reasons for dismissal, of course, are on file, but as for the private things that she said to me, I'm sure she'll deny them.
Possibly.
Oh, I know Mrs. Davidson. I'd be willing to bet on it.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, yes. Oh, Mrs. Davidson. Lester Lewis here.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Mrs. Davidson, I'd like to see you this morning, as soon as possible, in fact.
Well, fine. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Ah, good, good. Thank you.
Lester wants to see me right away.
Do you want me to come with you?
Nope, this is my fight. Correction. It's the Lord's. Keep me in your prayers, though.
She's probably on her knees praying for divine intervention right now.
Is that so horrible?
No, it's just useless. She's up against you now. Once you make your mind up about something, no changing it.
Now, I'm serious, you two. I don't want to hear another word about leaving. Gene, I'm ashamed that you'd even bring it up.
Are you ashamed of me because I'm concerned for your safety?
Well, I've taken care of myself all these years. Now, I don't understand what makes you think that I'd stop now.
Because of the fact that you've never come in contact with a couple of professionals like this, Mom. These guys are dangerous.
I know that to be true.
Well, you've taken steps to hide yourself pretty well. And I must point out that it's working out pretty well.
Yeah, guess it has.
It has.
Babs, has anyone been following you?
Gee, I don't know. I don't think so.
What do you... Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
Well, how do you know if no one's been following you if you haven't been paying attention?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, Gene, don't get ugly.
I'm not getting ugly, Mom, and I'm trying to be very sensible. We have a potential life or death situation here. Now, has anyone been hanging around here or following you? Let me know.
No.
They're probably too smart to get caught.
Or maybe they're not smart enough to catch me. Come on, Gene. I've been careful not to make any slip-ups. You know, I think the chances that they're being on to me are pretty small.
I think she's right.
Yeah, and I think both of you have a very short memory.
But what do you mean?
Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the same house where those flowers were delivered?
Oh.
And don't you just happen to work at the same office where you've received those threatening phone calls?
I suppose you could be right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there's no need for that tone, Gene. Now, you just hold on now. I'll be right back.
Look, Gene, I think there's something you should know.
Yeah?
When I split from Ronnie, I made sure that I took some insurance with me. You know what I mean?
No, what kind of insurance you talking about?
Well, the kind that could save my life. See, girls don't just walk away from Ronnie, not alive anyway. And there's no old age pension plan for hookers.
Which is why it's important for him to shut you up, Babs.
Give this man a cigar.
You're sitting on a cake of dynamite, lady.
Yeah. And I think the fuse has already been lit.
But you just told me. What are you doing?
She might hear you.
I don't care if she does hear me. Might draw her back to her senses.
Look, Gene, you gotta help me. Ronnie has been skimming off the top of his prostitution rings and his drug dealings, and I have got photocopies to prove it. Now, if we can get him to the right person, that'll be the end of it. I'll be safe.
So who's the right person?
Well, I don't know that.
Great!
Well, but I do know that his code name is the Prince. Now, if we can get this stuff to him, that will be the end of Ronnie. You gotta help me, Gene. Help me find out who the Prince is.
You have gotten yourself in one big mess, lady.
I got myself out of one.
Yeah. At whose expense? My family.
That wasn't intentional, I promise you. Look, Gene, you know this town. You could help me find out who this guy is.
I don't suppose I really have much choice in the matter. I mean, if I want to keep my family's safety and everything.
Thanks.
Oh, come on. You seem to be more confident about the crazy thing than I am.
I can't believe that Russ had the nerve to do this.
Just calm down. It's only a memo.
I am sorry to report that due to irreconcilable differences with the policies of this hospital, Terry Davidson is dismissed. Oh, not only does he not have the right to distribute something like that, it's an outright lie.
Hey, you don't have to convince me.
Have you read this? A memo on the firing of an employee, whether justified or not, is in direct violation of hospital policy. And I certainly don't have to make a statement as to whether or not your firing was justified. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, look, what's going on? What are you doing here?
Lester called her in.
Well, then how come you're not down there?
He was mysteriously called to personnel.
I'll bet. Now, you listen, Terry. Don't you take anything off him. I know what we'll do. I'll go to Lester's office with you, and I'll hand in my resignation. And in that way, then both of us will be free to give Ben a hand in starting the clinic.
Well, that sounds good to me. Alex, you know, now that you mention it, I have been wanting to talk to you about that.
Uh-oh, I've just put my foot in my big mouth.
Well?
No, before you say anything else. Yes, I'll help you a little when you get started.
Only a little, huh?
Yeah, afraid so. Hey, what's the story on Dave Phillips?
He's still back in Ohio trying to patch things up with his wife, ex-wife.
Yeah, well, that could take a little time.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Say, why don't you give him a call? You know, he was pretty gung-ho when he left here about the clinic. Who knows? This might be just the thing to get his marriage back on the track.
I don't understand. I'm confused.
Well, they decided to go ahead and have Daddy's open heart surgery. So that's why I decided to stay here. And maybe I'll go and visit Mother some other time.
Oh, I see.
This is pretty. Where'd you get this?
Listen, never mind that. Now, I want you to tell me everything. Now, when did all this happen?
Doctors told me yesterday.
Oh, and you've been carrying all this around inside of you, not telling anybody? No wonder you've been walking around with a long face.
Iona just didn't want to burden you with it.
Well, aren't we all supposed to carry each other's burden to make the burden a lot lighter?
Well, wish there had been some way I could have convinced Mother to stay here. If she doesn't love Father at all, I guess I can understand that, but I just wish there would been... Well, I just wish there'd been some way she could have loved me enough to want to stay.
Oh, honey, why don't you just put all of that out of your head? Your mother loves you very much.
Well, sure, then why did she leave?
Well, she's entitled to her emotions just like anyone else. Oh, I can remember my mother saying to me she wasn't there for me to lean on, just to kind of prop me up from time to time. Whatever your mother's reasons was for leaving now, why don't you try to accept them?
Well, it's hard.
I know, but like I said, you're not bearing this burden alone.
Thanks, I know. Was there a letter from Frederick today?
Oh, no, honey, I'm sorry.
You know what? Having my mother here made me realize how much I really love that little boy. I miss him a lot.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the clinic. That's the first time Ben's talked seriously about it since the attack on Lori.
Well, it's nice to know that when I'm making a fool of myself, it's of some use. He was serious, wasn't he?
He even left here with some of the old bounce back in his walk.
I hate to bring up a sore subject, but what's the story on the guy who did it?
Still nothing, which only makes Ben angrier, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Makes me angry, too.
He's concerned that whoever did it may try to get a hold of Lori after she's released from the hospital. I think he may be right. But at least the clinic will help to, oh, I don't know, help him to work out some of his anger.
Amen to that.
Oh, boy. Terry Davidson. Yes, Lester. Right away. Fasten your seatbelts, everybody.
After you, my dear.
Chicken. I don't understand. Well, you call me in from home only to keep me waiting, and then you call me in my office and you're still not ready?
I can understand your confusion, Terry. I'm sorry, I'll just ask you to bear with me for a few more minutes. Something else has come up.
Yes, you can hardly expect the hospital to stand still just for you.
Right.
I'll just be a moment, I promise.
I must say, I like the way you make her think about it before you give her your decision.